The story of Kennedy and Trump has changed the course of history forever. August 23rd, 2024 will forever be known as the day we turned the corner and took back our great nation and changed the course of history and brought hope to a free world. Join me as we relive the strange relationship between Kennedy and Trump, leading to their return to the White House to make America healthy and great again. I spent 2 years following the Kennedy and Trump campaigns. Long before the two men ever considered running for president, Kennedy sued Trump and stopped him from building a golf course near the Hudson River. After Trump won the presidency in 2016, he recruited Kennedy to look into vaccine safety issues. Kennedy was forced out the door after clashing with a man by the name of Anthony Fauci. But the assassination attempt on President Trump's life brought Kennedy and Trump closer than ever. From rivals to collaborators, from foes to friends, this is the story of Kennedy and Trump. You can download the book for free right now by going to kennedyandtrump.com. That's kennedyandtrump.com. My name is Greg Fernandez Jr. God bless you all. Okay, and welcome. We are now going to look at some of the latest things that are happening with Kennedy and Trump. And there is a lot that is happening right now. We got the government shutdown. Kennedy is doing some great things. Trump is doing some great things. Both men are doing some amazing things for this country, even as we're shut down, apparently, from what we've been told. Is it really a shutdown? If the government is still getting paid, the Congress is still getting paid, senators still getting paid? Kind of a halfway shutdown, I would say. But let's go take a look at what Senator Kennedy is posting. He posted this about 18 hours ago. The Biden administration removed Milepristan's in-person dispensing rule without studying the safety risks. We are filling that gap. Last month, I joined Dr. McCary in writing to state attorney generals, pledging to review all the evidence, including real-world outcomes on the safety of this drug. Recent studies already point to serious risks when mifepriston is used without proper medical oversight. This is one I'm going to definitely play here, and you can see who is all there. The gang is all here, and it was pointed out to me that Stone Cold Steve Austin stunned one, two, three, four of the people in this photo you are seeing here, which is hilarious. This is what Kennedy said on September 30th. This executive order is about action, unlocking cures, empowering families, and giving every child the chance to grow up healthy and strong. With American innovation and leadership, we can make our children healthy again. Go back a little bit. Sound is on. Let's play it.
No family should have to fight cancer with outdated tools or without access to the very best science. For too long, families have fought childhood cancer while our systems lag behind. President Trump, thank you for your leadership in changing all that. This executive order is about action, unlocking cures, empowering families, and giving every child the chance to grow up healthy and strong. With American innovation and leadership, we can make our children healthy again. No family should have to fight cancer with outdated tools.
All right. So this executive order is about action, absolutely. Let's see what this one is.
Working with our nation's top science and technology leaders to deploy AI to transform cancer care and research. We will accelerate progress in the Childhood Cancer Data Initiative that President Trump launched in 2019, and that means building stronger data systems, using AI to decode complex biology, designing better clinical trials that deliver faster, more effective treatment for kids. The order doubles federal investment in the Child Cancer Data Initiative with an additional $50 million just this year. NIH will expand research while the private sector and universities will bring their best tools to the table. Together, we will ensure that every innovation, every breakthrough goes to work for our children. The The order guarantees that AI will be integrated into HHS interoperability networks. We will make electronic health records and claims data work for patients and researchers. We're already doing that, and always with parents in control of their child's health information.
There you go. So this was from September 30th there. Here's another short one as well.
Today, President Trump signed an executive order that makes an historic promise. We will harness America's innovation in artificial intelligence to find cures for pediatric cancer. We stand here today because of Stephanie McMahon-Levack, who never wavered in her 11-year commitment to give every child a future free of cancer. She proves how one person's courage can change what is possible. Cancer is now the leading cause of chronic disease-related death in children, and its incidence has risen by more than 40% since 1975. We cannot accept that. We must act with urgency. Today, President Trump signed an executive order that makes an historic promise. We will harness America's innovation in artificial intelligence.
What is happening with all this cancer? Children getting cancer. So that was amazing. Trump's executive order. There's a few other good. I mean, there's a lot of good clips here that I could see on the website. Promises made, promises kept. President Trump delivers lower drug prices for Americans. This may not seem like a big issue, but it really is. The medical fight, the fight for medicine, the fight for cures, not just talking about it, but actually doing something about it. It's a big, big deal. So I just could not be happier with what I'm seeing. What is this? This must be a new video. I'm going to see if I could find that on HHS on their website. Let's see what they have that is new here. It's a 7-minute clip. Is that an old one or a new one? I haven't seen that one before. Thimerosal. Yeah, not too much new. Nothing from 10 days ago. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder what that one is. I may have to play. This could be an old one. This could be an old one here, but this should be good. Let me go back here. Play this one. No, sure.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS secretary. At my recent Finance Committee hearing, Senator Cantwell showed us this chart to illustrate the decline in infectious disease during the 20th century. The vaccine industry has long used this kind of chart as proof of the common claim that vaccines had saved hundreds of millions of American lives. The momentous 70% decline in mortalities in the United States and Western Europe from contagious diseases since 1900 marks one of the most monumental public health advances in all of human history. Was this really an achievement of mass vaccination programs, as many people, including Senator Cantwell, claim? The most comprehensive evidence-based study that rigorously examines this issue is a CDC-funded study that was published in 2000, performed by a team of researchers from CDC and Johns Hopkins University, and led by Dr. Bernard Geyer. The scientists meticulously examined 100 years of government infectious disease mortality data, and they concluded that nearly all the mortality reductions occurred before the introduction of vaccines, and that vaccinations could therefore claim little of the credit. For example, you can see from this graph that in 1900, some 13,000 Americans a year were dying of measles. By 1960, however, this number had dropped to a few hundred. But the measles vaccine was not introduced until 3 years later. Therefore, almost all the measles mortality had disappeared before the vaccine. So the measles vaccine can't really claim the credit for saving all those lives. Let's look at pertussis, also known as whooping cough. Again, we see the biggest drop in pertussis deaths occurred before the introduction of the pertussis vaccine. The same is true for influenza. Massive flu mortalities had already disappeared by the 1960s, but the vaccine was not widely disseminated until the 1980s. So once again, the vaccine cannot claim the credit. And look how tuberculosis deaths nearly disappeared along the exact same timeline as all those other infectious diseases. Even though there was no mass vaccination for TB in the United States, the mortalities disappeared without any help from a vaccine. Likewise, there was never a scurvy vaccine, but scurvy deaths also disappeared along the exact same timeline. The same is true for scarlet fever, which I had as a boy. Deaths from scarlet fever disappeared in lockstep alongside the drops in deaths from all those other contagions. So, what actually did cause the decline in infectious disease mortality? A landmark 1977 study by McKinley and McKinley was required reading in most American medical schools during the 1970s and early 1980s. That study attributed the decline not to medical advances or innovations, but almost exclusively to agricultural and engineering innovations that improved nutrition. These included better roads, air transport, and refrigeration, and superior sanitation. This was the same period that flush toilets and water chlorination became widespread. The McKinleys credited less than 3.5% of the mortality declines to all medical measures put together, including antibiotics, surgeries, and vaccines. And here, for example, you see the introduction of chlorination correlates pretty perfectly with the decline in infectious disease mortality. In 1970, Harvard Medical School professor Edward Cass was arguably the world's preeminent infectious disease authority. He was both the founder and longtime editor of the Journal of Infectious Diseases and president and founding member of the Infectious Diseases Society of America. In his address that year to a joint meeting of the Infectious Disease Society of America and the 10th Inner Science Conference on Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy, Dr. Cass issued a prescient public warning that actors within the medical industry would try to take credit for the momentous reduction in disease fatalities in order to advance their profits, their prestige, and their influence. Dr. Cass challenged the emergent claim that vaccines have saved hundreds of millions of lives. Dr. Cass observed that the decline of mass deaths from these dreaded killers occurred prior to the widespread proliferation of vaccines. And he warned against what he called the half-truths that medical research had stamped out the great killers of the past: tuberculosis, diphtheria, pneumonia, puerperal sepsis, etc. He cautioned against the claim that medical research and our superior system of medical care were major factors in extending life expectancy. The deceptive graph that Senator Cantwell showed the nation is precisely the kind of scientifically baseless propaganda device against which Professor Cass warned us. And yet it is a common trope promoted by the pharmaceutical industry and allied medical associations and their highly paid politicians to evangelize us into believing that vaccines alone saved all of those lives. Senator Cantwell has taken some $456,000 from pharmaceutical companies. The mantric pronouncement that vaccines have saved hundreds of millions of lives is so embedded in conventional wisdom that it rarely receives the kind of skepticism and the rigorous scientific examination that public health agencies should apply to all dogmas. Vaccines are a critical part of public health. They can prevent infections like measles altogether and the serious injuries that sometimes accompany measles, and they can prevent you from spreading measles to others. But blind faith in vaccination alone as our only recourse against death by infection has inclined our medical system to discount the role of therapeutic drugs and vitamins and diet, exercise, and other lifestyle changes that might fortify human immune systems against all kinds of sickness. The idea that good health comes only in a syringe can distort public health priorities and lead to misallocations of public health resources. During the Biden administration, the U.S. government's unbalanced response to the COVID pandemic exemplified this peril. American citizens paid a steep price. The United States had more COVID deaths than any other nation. Under President Trump's leadership, we are going to ensure that America has the best childhood vaccine schedule. We're going to address vaccine injuries. We're going to modernize American vaccines with transparent gold standard science. We're going to eliminate and correct conflicts of interest and misaligned incentives. And we're going to ensure scientific and medical freedom.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Love it. All right. So I don't know why that one is not on the YouTube channel yet, but most likely it'll probably pop up on there later on. We'll quickly check in with President Trump, who's talking about Idaho here. Maximize this. Congratulations to Idaho on breaking ground for your new veterans home today. Glad to have worked with your great Senator Jim Risch to have made this happen. Veterans are a priority for us. Very cool. Just one or two. Here's what he's talking about Hamas here. Whoa, it's a long one. Hamas has been a ruthless and violent threat for many years in the Middle East. They have killed and made lives unbearably miserable, culminating with the October 7th massacre in Israel. Babies, women, children, old people, and many young men and women, boys and girls, getting ready to celebrate their future lives together. As retribution for the October 7th attack on civilians, more than 25,000 Hamas soldiers have already been killed. Most of the rest are surrounded and militarily trapped, just waiting for me to give the word go for their lives to be quickly extinguished. As for the rest, we know where and who you are, and you will be hunted down and killed. I am asking all innocent Palestinians immediately leave this area of potentially great future deaths for safer parts of Gaza. Everyone will be well cared for by those that are waiting to help. Fortunately for Hamas, however, they will be given one last chance. Great, powerful, and very rich nations of the Middle East and the surrounding areas beyond, together with the United States of America, have agreed with Israel signing on to peace after 3,000 years in the Middle East. This deal also spares the lives of all remaining Hamas fighters. The details of the document are known to the world, and it is a great one for all. We have peace in the Middle East, one way or the other. We will have peace in the Middle East, one way or the other. The violence and bloodshed will stop. Releases the hostages, all of them, including the bodies of those that are dead now. An agreement must be reached with Hamas by Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. time. Every country has signed on. If this last chance agreement is not reached, all hell, like no one has ever seen before, will break out against Hamas. There will be peace in the Middle East one way or the other. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Very strong words from our current president there, and I think we all know what that means. If Hamas does not agree, which they will, and then they'll come back and they'll backtrack on it, I'm sure, to just keep playing more and more games. But if they don't agree, then we know what's going to happen. And again, in war, nobody wins. Everybody loses. So it will not be a victorious war, but it will put an end to the war, which in this case is probably the only way you're going to bring about peace. You cannot have peace with Hamas. Just is not possible. Anyone who thinks it is delusional. All right, as we end this, I'm just going to play a little bit of this healthcare for illegal aliens, Democrat government shutdown.
Democrats, the party of open borders, transgender for everybody, lawlessness in our streets, are shutting down the government in an effort to appease the radical left. These Democrats are coordinating their strategy with outside leftist groups and are demanding nearly $1.5 trillion in spending for an agenda that includes healthcare for illegal aliens and much, much more. Democrats for years have railed against government shutdowns, claiming a shutdown would mean much chaos and pain and needless heartache for the American people. Democrats are out of control, and you know who it hurts?
You, everyday people, and the most vulnerable, seniors, veterans, working families, hungry kids, y'all.
Tell Congress to avoid the Democrat-led government shutdown.
There it is. All right, and with that, I'm going to shut this one down for today. Thank you for another episode. Just following Kennedy and Trump here, the Kennedy and Trump podcast. Just seeing what they're doing, what they're up to. There's a lot more. And as we know what it's all about, yes, it's all about freedom for Jesus Christ. God bless you all. Till next time, remember, Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I, my friends. Have a great day.